Hey everyone, Adam here and welcome back to the channel. In my last video I talked about how pain had kept me from getting out and living the life that I wanted. If you're here, maybe you can relate to that. But the idea of rewiring ourselves will remain an idea unless we act on it. We sort of have to commit to the process and we have to create those new neural pathways which will replace the ones defined by pain ourselves. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I took the first big step in the journey of rewiring myself out of pain. I recently went out to this cabin in the Santa Margarita Mountains in California for a 2-night camping trip. It was a 4-hour drive, which is the longest drive I've been on since my back pain started over 3 years ago. And it's maybe the first decision I've made from a mind-body perspective, or a true mind-body perspective, since my migraine started over 13 years ago. And so before I went, I tried not to create any expectations for how the trip was supposed to go. And I think that's a really important aspect. Like, whatever happened on the trip with my pain or with my body, the most important thing was to react from a place of observation, because this is one of the centerpieces of rewiring yourself out of pain. Non-reactivity and beyond that curiosity are things that reinforce that the brain is safe. But if you're new to the mind-body process of healing, it's really easy to forget that sometimes. It's really easy to fall back into this older version of yourself that reacts to the world with all the stress and negativity that it's used to. Before I climbed in the car, I took a few deep breaths, trying to appreciate the moment, but also just observe the moment and be present in it. But if I'm being honest, I did feel excitement. The first time I felt something like that in a long time. It was the kind of excitement you might get from turning the page of a book to a new chapter. On the drive up, I became very aware of the journey that I was on. I didn't have any sort of earth-shattering epiphany or anything like that. My back pain and migraines didn't magically melt away, but I was aware of the things I was seeing. The misty morning giving way to the midday sun, the howling train passing my way. There was something intangibly new about it all. What I did know, even after facing some tough off-roading, was that I wasn't focused on pain. If you Google chronic pain treatments, you're probably not going to find cabin in the mountains as a commonly prescribed treatment. So why come out here? The first reason is that it got me away from the stress of day-to-day life. Modern day routines are often a large source of things like stress, fear, anger, and the constant search for stimulation. These high-stress states are like food for pain. So if your daily life is naturally full of stress, getting away from it, even just for a day, can help to break that cycle. After unpacking my gear, I wandered down to a close-by pond, where the next day I was looking forward to taking a kayak out on the water. And I noticed something immediately. It was easier to relax there. And it wasn't just a mental shift. I could feel it in my body too. Deep breaths were more natural. However, not everything went perfectly. I don't want to create the illusion that this was some sort of transcendent, immediate healing experience. If you decide to travel the path of changing your relationship with pain, it's not going to be a smooth path. Despite trying not to have too many expectations for this trip, one thing I was really looking forward to was capturing a time lapse of the brilliant night sky out in the mountains. But honestly, I'm still pretty new at this video making thing, and I forgot to change a setting on my camera, and instead of capturing the night sky, this is what I captured. 800 pictures of a totally black screen. So in my moment of healing and light, I filled up almost an entire memory card with pure darkness. But before that, I was able to record some thoughts in my journal. next day, I woke up pretty early to capture some pictures of the sunrise. It can't be understated what a positive experience it is to greet the day with a mountain sunrise as opposed to a smartphone. And this is something I believe you can look forward to. When you take that first big step, it's going to be more impactful than you thought. We're starting a collection of positive experiences to draw from, to replace the painful pathways in our minds. And it was deeply comforting that an example of one of these experiences could be something as small as a mountain sunrise. The sun was only a temporary companion though, because the second day at the cabin was bringing a pretty big storm. Clouds rolled in like waves, washing out the sky, and the wind seemed to speak of how intense the coming rain would be. So second day in the cabin has gotten really cold. I've climbed down all the windows as good as I can. They don't close all the way. It's not insulated, but to be honest with you, I don't necessarily dislike hanging out inside a little bit. You know, the quiet and the stillness that I've kind of found out here, it was the most obvious down at the pond when I first got here, but now it's, even with the storm outside, I can feel it sort of everywhere. Maybe it's coming more from me than from the environment. How's my beanie look? The last way an experience like this can help with the rewiring process is that it's evidence. If you're like me and you stopped yourself from getting out there and doing certain things because of your pain, getting out there and actually doing them provides evidence that you can. On this trip, I went from someone who basically didn't sit down for the better part of 3 years to going on a 4-hour road trip to a stormy mountain. This is the kind of evidence that, once again, reinforces to your brain, to yourself, that these activities are safe and that pain signals are not necessary. Looking back, I can tell you that I felt almost no pain during this entire trip. I'm not going to pretend to know all the answers or even all the correct answers for you. All I can do is share a positive experience that I created for myself and hopefully inspire you to go out and do the same. If you haven't taken your first step out of pain yet, create it yourself. Don't wait for it to come to you. Plan a small trip. Start that instrument you've been eyeing for a while. Break the cycle you're in with a positive shift, and then don't stop there. Build up those positive experiences. Build a whole catalog of them until their presence and influence in your thoughts is undeniable. Create so many positive pathways that they flood your neural circuitry, like sunlight breaking through clouds, and you can't help but lean into them. That's it for me today, everyone. If you find these videos inspiring or you relate to them, please consider giving the channel a subscribe and hitting the like button on this video. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.